American entrepreneur and founder of Eastman Kodak Company, George Eastman, was born on 21st July in Waterville, New York, as the youngest son of George Washington Eastman and Maria Eastman. Eastman attended a private school in Rochester at 8 years, but was mostly self-educated after then, as his father had started a school for business in the Eastman Commercial College in Rochester, New York in the early 1840s. Later, his family moved from Rochester in 1860 when his father became ill, and in 1862, his father passed away from a brain disorder. In the bid to care for the family and afford Eastman's schooling, his mother began taking boarders into the school. But Eastman left school at age 14 and began working to add to the family income. He worked as a messenger and errand boy for several insurance companies, at the same time home studying accounting to qualify him for higher pay at work, and this earned him a job at the Rochester Savings Bank as a bookkeeper. At the age of 24, Eastman decided on a trip to visit Santo Domingo and hoped to document the trip on the advice of his colleague at work. But the equipment for photography then was enormous and costly and could not be easily carried for such a trip. Though he bought the equipment, he never took it for the trip. This led him to research how to make photography easier for everyone to enjoy. He learned under the tutelage of two local amateur photographers and also saw a formula in a British publication for a dry plate emulation, and with that, he formed a gelatin-based paper film with a device that could coat dry plates. In 1880, Eastman launched his photography company and also resigned from the bank where he worked. He spent the next 5 years working on his photography device and improved it that in 1885, along with camera inventor William Hall Walker, who worked on it with him, he patented it. Together, they made photography and camera smaller and cheaper. He also developed the Kodak Black camera in 1888, Kodak being a name he coined and created. This camera became the first to use roll film. He also created a slogan for advertising his work: "You press the button, we do the rest." It quickly became a popular word among his customers. He founded his company as the Eastman Kodak Company in 1892, and in 1895 his first film stock was offered. In 1896, Eastman became the leading international supplier of film stock. With the growing success of his photography business, he made a promise to repay his mother for the hardship and sacrifices she went through while raising him. Eastman was unconventional in his activities as an employer. Despite the growing powers of the trade union then, he countered the union by making way for workers' benefit program and also established a profit-sharing program for all employees in 1910. He also promoted a woman, Florence McCanany, as head of the personnel department, making her among the first women in US to hold an executive position in a major company. The competition then arose in the camera industry, yet Eastman stayed focused on making the film, thereby providing quality and affordable film for every manufacturer of camera, and turned his company's competitors into de facto business partners. His mother, whom he had a close relationship with, died in 1907, and it pained him that she did not live long enough for him to fulfill his promise to repay her. In 1911, he founded the Eastman Trust and Savings Bank and put in more to the establishment of the Eastman School of Music at the University of Rochester in 1918, and by 1921 he established the School of Medicine and Dentistry at the university. He took a detour from his Kodak business and in 1922, September 4th, opened the Eastman Theater in Rochester with a lot of his childhood memories built into the theater and one of the halls named after his mother. He gave up his daily management of the Kodak Company and became its treasurer in 1925, but stayed active as an administrator and business executive of the company. He also concentrated on his philanthropic life, though he never desired publicity for that area of his life. In 1929, Eastman founded the George Eastman Visiting Professorship at Oxford, which was planned to hold every year by various American highest distinction scholars. He was credited for his outstanding philanthropist donations in his time, giving more than $100 million to different projects in Massachusetts, Cambridge, and Rochester, and several others. He He also donated $22,050 to the American Eugenics Society every year. In 1926, he gave $200,000 for the funding of a dental clinic in London. Though Eastman was never married, he had 3 women he was close to in his lifetime, the first being his mother and also his sister. He later had an extended friendly relationship with Josephine Dickman, and they grew closer after the death of his mother, although she was the wife of his business associate, George Dickman. Eastman became ill in the last 2 years of his life with intense pain from a spine disorder. He could no longer work at a fast pace and had trouble standing. This led him to a depressed life, and on March 14, 1932, Eastman died from a self-inflicted gunshot through his heart at the age of 77. He left a suicide note that read, "To my friends, my work is done. Why wait? GE." He was buried at the grounds of the company he founded, now known as Eastman Business Park, and his entire estate was given to the University of Rochester. In his honor, the university named the Eastman Quadrangle at the Eastern Campus after him. His mansion, which he built and entertained friends to dinner, was reopened in 1949 and became used as the George Eastman House International Museum of Photography and Film. It is now a National Historic Landmark known simply as the George Eastman Museum. Eastman made photography easily accessible to everyone by his invention of the Kodak camera. His company remains one of the biggest photography companies in the industry. Thank you very much for watching our videos. We'll appreciate it if you subscribe to our channel and share this video with your friends. We love you.